from Houston, pulling up stats, you'll be pulling in stacks, hitting bookies from the back with no Vaseline. I need green and see quantities for a fiend, save the dreams for a king. This is H-Town, home of the lean. Astros is the team, and we rock it. We rock Texans for life, you can't stop it. Together like brothers and Bets and Jets.
What's going on, sports fans? Top of the morning, week 8 NFL best prop bets, and I'm your boy LJ from H-Town. And what I do every week is give my best prop bets out, do a little dive, do some weekly props, try to find some money, try to find some players that we know are going to capitalize off the weakness of the NFL teams that they're playing this week. So grab your pen, grab your paper, ladies and gentlemen. It's top of the morning, so let's see if we can find some money for this NFL Week 8 NFL slate. So we're going to jump right into it. We had some picks last week, that did pretty good, but we're going to start it off this week. We're going to the Texans versus the Carolina Panthers today. Both rookie quarterbacks, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, are facing off today. And we're going to jump on Bryce Young, over 34.5 pass attempts, minus 107. And the reason why we're taking this is because Bryce Young has hit this number his last 2 games. The Texans allowed the opposing quarterback to hit this number 3 out of the last 4 games. And the fact that the Texans' rush defense has only allowed under 100 yards the last 3 games, I believe C.J. Stroud is going to have to be effective through the air today. Now, he has a couple weapons he can take advantage of. He has Adam Thielen today. He's averaging around 8 receptions, 84 yards. He's had 70-plus in 4 straight. And he also has Herder Hunts that is doing pretty well in fantasy as well. I think the Texans have a little bit of trouble of guarding the tight end position. So if Bryce Young can find his weapons today and be effective through the air, I believe that he will hit this over 34.5 pass attempts. Now, for him to win the game, I'm looking for Carolina to cover the spread +3 because I don't like the Texans as a favorite on the road. But for him to be effective this way, he just has to pass the ball. They don't have to complete it. He doesn't have to be, like I said, they don't have to complete the pass. They just have to throw the ball. He can throw it out of bounds. He can throw it on the ground. All that counts as a pass attempt. So I believe that he's going to have to be effective today through the pass, and he's going to have to pass it a lot in order for Carolina to have a chance to win this game. So we're on Bryce Young, over 34.5 pass attempts, minus 107. Let's move over to this game, ladies and gentlemen. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And when we're looking at this game, Trevor Lawrence, over 18.5 rush yards, minus 117. Now, he's hit this number 5 out of the 7 games he's played. He's averaging 29 rushing yards on the season. And the Steelers have allowed 4 mobile quarterbacks to average 26 rushing yards out of the backfield. You have Lamar Jackson, you had C.J. Stroud, you had Deshaun Watson, and you had Brock Purdy the first game of the season. They let all 4 of those quarterbacks average 26 rushing yards out of the field. So you got to hit 18.5. He's hit it 5 out of the 7, and he's averaging 29 rushing yards already on the season. I don't see why Trevor Lawrence can't get this 18.5 rush yards minus 117. It's been a money casher so far through the season, so let's continue to keep riding the train, ladies and gentlemen, and get this money. Let's move on to this one. We have Breece Hall, anytime touchdown, plus 110. And Breece Hall is going up against the Giants' rush defense that allows the second most rushing yards to the running back. Now, his rushing yards were at over 67.5, and his rushing, it was 73.5 rush yards, minus 114 now. It got raised up to, it was at 67.5, now it got raised up to 73. So I kind of stayed off of that one, but I believe that he will get a touchdown because the Giants defense has allowed a rushing touchdown to the running back 6 out of their 7 games played. So if Breece Hall, if he doesn't get the rushing yards, he should get the touchdown. They get into goal line, get into the red zone. I think the Jets should capitalize on this prop and allow Breece Young to cash this anytime touchdown when they get in the red zone, plus 110. Now, let's move over to this one, ladies and gentlemen. We have the Baltimore Ravens going on the road to the Arizona Cardinals to take on that weak, hampered, decimated secondary of the Arizona Cardinals. And we're going to take advantage of that weak, decimated secondary today. And we're going to jump on Zay Flowers over 58.5 receiving yards, minus 114. And we're going to double up with the touchdown, plus 150. Now, the reason why we're doing this, Zay Flowers is averaging 66 yards his last 3 games. He's averaging 66 yards his last 3 games. He's averaging 63 receiving yards on the road, including the last game they played in London. And I've already mentioned, Arizona allows the secondary to the most yards to the wide receiver. Now, 2 receivers hit 60 plus when they played Seattle. 2 receivers hit 60 plus when they played the Bengals. And 2 receivers hit 60 plus when they played the 49ers. And they've allowed every number 1 receiver to hit this number at home in Arizona. So Arizona's defense is vulnerable right now. They do got some pieces coming back, but I don't think it's going to be in time enough to hold off the high-powered, explosive offense of the Baltimore Ravens today. Ravens are riding high. Lamar Jackson is playing like the MVP candidate that he won a couple of years ago. So I believe that they will come into Arizona Stadium today and take care of business, because we do know that Lamar Jackson, I believe, is like 14-1 versus the NFC in his career. So he has very, very success beating up on the NFC. So this is one of the vulnerable teams in the NFC this year, possibly the worst team. Carolina as well. You know, both of those are right there. Carolina doesn't even have a win yet. So I believe that they're going to be desperate today versus the Texans. That's why I didn't take the Texans to win the game. Carolina could come out and get their first win. But as far as Arizona, they're getting beat up in their secondary, man, and we're going to take advantage of Zay Flowers today. Over 58.5 receiving yards, minus 114. And we're going to double up on his anytime touchdown, plus 150. And I'm expecting the Baltimore Ravens to come out with the win. All right, ladies, let's move on to this one. We have the Kansas City Chiefs on the road going to the Denver Broncos today. And we already know that Patrick Mahomes, he pretty much owns Denver. And when I say owns Denver, he owns Denver. He's never lost to Denver in his career. They've won 13 straight games in the division. And he's 15-0 versus the division on the road in his career. He's never lost a division road game in Patrick Mahomes' career. It's just amazing. He's the best quarterback in the NFL. Everyone should know that. He's an MVP for a reason. And for that reason, we're going to jump on Patrick Mahomes over 274.5 passing yards, minus 104. And the reason why we're doing this is because Patrick Mahomes has hit this number 5 out of his last 6 games. He's had 300-plus passing yards his last 3 games versus Denver. And Denver allows the 3rd most passing yards in the league. And they just played a couple of weeks ago on a Thursday night. And I do believe Patrick Mahomes had 300 yards in that game, because they said the last 3 games versus Denver. So he had to have had it because he played Denver. So, yeah, I see no worries of Patrick Mahomes hitting this number. Like we just mentioned, he's the best quarterback in the NFL. He has his weapons with Kelsey. He has another couple of weapons on the team that he can take advantage of. Pacheco coming out the backfield. So he has a lot of different ways he can cash his props. So he's playing a team that he's never lost. He feels good. And I believe that he will hit this over 274.5 passing yards, minus 104. Now, I have a bonus one today. We can go back to that Texas and Carolina game. We'll take Fairburn, the Texans field goal kicker, over 1.5 field goals, minus 141. And the reason why we're doing this is because he's hit 17 field goals made so far on the season, which is one of 3 kickers to do that. He's averaging 3 field goals made on the road. And his last 12 road games going back to last year, he's had 10 over 1.5 field goals made out of those 12 road games. So he's very successful on the road. I guess he feels comfortable on the road more than he does at home. I don't know, but if I think the Texans are going to be productive today, I believe that they will be able to drive the ball down the field on Carolina. Now, to score touchdowns may be a different story. They may could get one, they may could get two, but if they're in the red zone, a lot of opportunities today versus Carolina. I believe that Fairburn, the accurate and successful kicker that he is, he should make 2 field goals today. So we're gonna jump on Fairburn over 1.5 field goals minus 141, ladies and gentlemen. So just for a recap, we're going to go back to Bryce Young over 34.5 pass attempts minus 107. I believe he's going to have to be effective through the air in order for Carolina to be successful today. We're going to take Breece Hall anytime touchdown plus 110. The Giants have allowed the opposing running back to score rushing touchdowns 6 out of their last 7 games. So that's just a trend that we just cannot ignore. Trevor Lawrence, over 18.5 rushing yards, minus 117. He's hit this number 5 out of his 7 games, and the Steelers have allowed 4 mobile quarterbacks to average 26 rushing yards out of the backfield. So I believe Trevor Lawrence will continue to keep cashing this rushing prop until they raise it up to 20. They're going to have to do it, or they're going to have to keep paying out money, ladies and gentlemen. We have Zay Flowers, over 58.5 receiving yards, minus 114. And we're going to double up on the touchdown, plus 150. Arizona gives up the most receiving yards to the wide receiver. Their secondary is banged up. And I believe Lamar Jackson is going to come into Arizona today. They're riding high. And Baltimore's playing very well. And he's going to find his weapon, Zay Flowers, in that secondary to capitalize on this 58.5 receiving yards. And he's going to be looking for him to score the touchdown, maybe in the red zone. Who knows? But I believe he will cash and double up over 58.5 receiving yards, minus 114. Anytime touchdown, plus 150. And we got Patrick Mahomes, ladies and gentlemen, over 274.5 passing yards, minus 104. Like I just mentioned, he's hit 300 plus the last 3 games versus Denver. Denver allows the 3rd most passing yards in the league. And Patrick Mahomes has hit 274.5 passing yards, 5 out of his last 6 games. And the bonus up, kicker Fairburn for the Texans, over 1.5 field goals, minus 141, because he's averaging 3 field goals made on the road. And his last 12 road games, he's hit 10. The 10 games out of the 12 road games he's played, going back to last year, he's had over 1.5 field goals made. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the show. Just want to jump on real quick, top of the morning. I will be on Wham Talk. We're going to break down a couple of NFL games today, give us some props as well. So around maybe 7 o'clock West time, I believe, 9 o'clock Central, Who Bangin' Sports. Go on there on YouTube, like, subscribe, follow those guys over there, man. They're doing big things. So I will be with Wham this morning. And I'm also going to be on Jimmy the Bag, Pub Sports Radio, during the NFL Pub Hub this morning. Give him my 4 best bets today. Got 4 games I'm going to bring down with him and give him my 4 best bets today. So go over to Pub Sports Radio around maybe 10 o'clock Central Time, 11 o'clock Eastern is where we're going to do our picks today. So go over there. Pub Sports Radio, Jimmy the Bag, Betty with the Bag, NFL Pub Hub, Who Bangin' Sports. Go over there. Follow us today. We're going to break down the card as well. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, once again, appreciate y'all for joining. You know, I know it's top of the morning, so I know that a lot of y'all haven't watched this video yet, but I'm going to tweet it out, you know, so everybody can get the information they need to get before we kick off today at noon and enjoy this NFL Sunday. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, LJ from H-Town, RaWordzPodcast, NFL, Week 8, best bets, and I will see y'all next week.
Yeah, R-A-W, words being served, no concern and no trouble to get that dough. Money on my mind, if it's money all the time, we be pubbing on the grind. If it's LJ from Houston, pulling up stats, you'll be pulling in stacks, hitting bookies from the back with no Vaseline. I need green and up, see quantities for a fiend, save the dreams for a king. This is H-Town, home of the lean. Astros is the team and we rock it. Texans for life, you can't stop it. Together like brothers and vets, injects cash in your pocket.